If Man City win the Champions League, it'll be the end of them regardless. Griezmann is not doing what a player of his caliber should be. Stop talking about Griezmann. Oh, too late. Monday afternoon means another episode of TFW, the football show where you give your opinions on a weekend which saw Giorgio Chiellini return from injury, Erling Haaland score again, and PSG without Neymar for another match. But first off, let's talk about Manchester City. But first off, what on earth is happening at Manchester City? So we've got an opinion first off from Fanatic Football Fan that says City will be lucky to make Champions League when they're back as Stars and Pep will leave. Yes, you're probably damn right. I mentioned this in the Daily News actually earlier today, which you can watch by clicking here, that Manchester City being out of the Champions League for a few seasons really puts pressure on some of the players in their prime and a few of the older ones, I mentioned Aguero in there especially, that are going to want to leave because they've never won the Champions League. This represents their best and also worst chance. Their best because they're a good team like Manchester City. Their worst because they're not going to be in the competition for another 2 years. By the time, they come back into the competition, if they do, by the way, as a Fanatic Football Fan has said, they may be a little bit lucky to get back into the Champions League. Aguero will be like 34. No one's really going to have him starting, and certainly he won't move from City to another top Champions League side because they'll have their own strikers. Sebo XDJ said, Matt, do you think Manchester City actually have a better chance of winning the Premier League next season with all their focus on it because of the Champions League ban? Or will it take their momentum down from a lack of games? Love from Australia. Big love in Australia. This is a very interesting one because you've mentioned there the lack of games, meaning a lack of momentum. That actually, there's a fine balance. There's a fine balance of having a massive gap in between games, and if you lose one, you've got to wait a long time for another one, and you can't really put momentum together. On the flip side, there's all this talk in England about a winter break and players playing too many games. So it kind of works both ways. As for Liverpool, they've been able to absolutely obliterate the Premier League while still focusing on the Champions League. Last season, they got 97 points and won the Champions League. So focusing on both doesn't really seem to be that much of a big deal. City can win it anyway. City have been trying to win the Champions League for the last 2 years and they've still won the Premier League. So, anyway, Arib Siddiqui has said, should City just give up on the Premier League now and start playing the under-23s each game and put all their eggs in one basket, the Champions League? As ridiculous as that sounds, it's probably actually not a bad idea. I don't think they need to play the under-23s in each game, and I'm pretty sure their focus will be on the Champions League, because as we said, this could be it for quite a few players. If they're going to stay at City, this is their last chance to win the Champions League, and for Pep Guardiola as well, City are in a very, very odd place at the moment. If Man City win the Champions League, it'll be the end of them regardless. Because if they don't, Guardiola and the players are going to want to leave for Champions League football in the next few years. And if they do, all the players and Guardiola will be like, the project's done. We've won everything they need that we were set out to win, so we might as well move on and try something else. City are screwed if they do, screwed if they don't. Anyway, up next into a potential Champions League rival in Barcelona and Antoine Griezmann. We're getting some strong opinions, and I love it because that's what TFW is for. Prabat Suraj has said nothing is wrong with Griezmann. He's playing quite well, and it's his first season. He needs to adapt to the teammates. If you think Griezmann is as bad, you should also discuss how Hazard is playing. Ansu Fati has more goals than him. Comparing him to Hazard is absolute nonsense. They're different players. If you're really that annoyed about the hate on Griezmann that you start calling out Real Madrid players, I mean, let them worry about Real Madrid. Let Hazard fans and Real Madrid fans worry about their guy. You worry about your guy in Griezmann. And honestly, I tend to disagree. It's his first season. He needs to adapt to the teammates. I'm not having that. Antoine Griezmann's 28 years old. He's been in La Liga for his whole career, actually. I believe Real Sociedad and then Atletico Madrid, during which he scored a phenomenal amount of goals against Barcelona as well. He is a quality player, and when you spend that kind of money, you expect results immediately. There are countless number of players who not in La Liga, in the Premier League, Serie A, all this and that, who have come in for big money because they're a good player and they hit the ground running because that's what they do. There is no way that every club makes a big transfer like signing a player in his prime years for over 100 million and says, by the way, Antoine, the first year's a free shot. Do what you like, settle in, you'll be fine. Not at all. Romelu Lukaku's coming to the top of my head. Paid big money, they want rewards, they're getting rewards. And yes, in part, Hazard's not doing the same, but as I mentioned, forget about that. Griezmann is not doing what a player of his caliber should be. There are other players who aren't as well, but focus on Griezmann, focus on Barcelona. He does not need time to adapt to his new teammates. He's been bought in with the sole specific role of being a good player now. I'm not buying him for the future. He's in his prime now. Logical YT says, stop talking about Griezmann. Oh, too late. The man is doing fine. I don't get why people like you are still judging him. It's his first season. So, for literally all the points that I've just mentioned above, as we said before, Griezmann needs to hit the ground running. There is no way that Messi's like telling him to relax. It's just his first year. That's not saying, by the way, he won't come good in his second season. He might come good the second season, third season, fourth season. He might go on to be the best Barcelona player ever behind Lionel Messi. It still is not an excuse for not fitting into the first team in your first season, especially when he knows quite a lot of the players for quite a long time. Hasn't played with them, but knows quite a few of them. He's played with some of them on France duty. Anyway, next up to Arsenal, had a fantastic win at the weekend over Newcastle. Lloyd T. Samba said, do you think Nicolas Pepe is coming good at Arsenal? Needs more time to prove himself, correct. Or is he not worth the 72 million Arsenal paid for him? Got 1 goal and 2 assists versus Newcastle. The centre of all things good in attack. He needs a bit more time. Eventually, he'll be their star man. Now this, I know you're going to say, oh, you can't give Nicolas Pepe time. This is a perfect example. Yes, 72 million is a lot. Yes, he is 23 years old, I believe. Coming from Liga, he's got 1 good season under his belt. The circumstances of which he's joining a new team are so vastly different to how Griezmann is walking into the Barcelona squad that, yes, I completely agree with you, Lotier. I think Pepe will come good. He's clearly got the skill. He's clearly got all the ability in the world. He just needs a manager to bring it out of him. He's joined a new club, which were under a bit of turmoil. That's an understatement. He's come from Lille and he's making a step up to Arsenal, even though Lille were fantastic last season where he was the star man. He's now playing under his 3rd manager in just 6 or 7 months at the club with Emery Lundberg and now Arteta. And I think he will be their star man. He definitely has to be the future for Arsenal, paying that much money with that much ability. He needs to produce results. Am I going to put the pressure on him now? No. Next year? Absolutely. Needs to be doing things at the top level. A Furious Gamer has said, you can't say you're seeing the best of Pepe when he isn't even one of the best young football stars around. Does that mean that the best of Pepe has to compare to young football stars? Not at all. Honestly, and you know, most of you guys will know my despise for Arsenal, but Arsenal fans, Pepe fans, forget about the rest. Do you really think Nicolas Pepe cares whether he's one of the best young stars around? As long as he is doing the business and doing the best that he can do to help his team on the pitch, I really don't think he cares about being one of the best or not one of the best. Sure, there are talented other stars out there. Doesn't really matter. As long as you're seeing the best of Nicolas Pepe, that's what Arsenal paid for. Arsenal didn't pay £72 million for Nicolas Pepe to see the best of Ansu Fati. Makes absolutely no sense. Next up, PSG, because Saïd Saïl has said, did PSG's draw against Amiens just prove they are overly dependent on Neymar and Mbappe? Oddly enough, yes and no. Yes, because any team's going to be over-dependent on probably 2 of the best 5 players in the world. On the other side, PSG didn't have a problem scoring. They scored 4. It's just that they also conceded 4. I think PSG's problems, yes, of course, it helps when you've got Neymar and Mbappe in the team, but it stems a lot deeper than that. Defensively, you just cannot concede 4. Certainly not to Amiens, certainly not in the first half conceding 3, then conceding a last-minute equaliser. That is just not good enough from the back. Every player, every manager will tell you need a solid defence to kind of build off something. Otherwise, you've got a fantastic attack, which can score 4 goals, and you still don't win the game. So yes, Neymar and Mbappe, they are dependent on them, but my God, they need to do better in defence. Thiago Silva, as much as I love him, I think he's a legend of the game. There's talks of him having a new contract, and he's like 35, 36. They really need to improve. Of course, they had Thierry Kerr on the bench. They're missing quite a few players, but still, PSG, with the form that Erling Haaland is in, are going to need to be in better shape defensively. Feel free to let me know in the comment section whether or not after the Champions League this week, Haaland has had a poor game and PSG have kept a clean sheet. Let me know all your thoughts actually, in fact, in the comment section down below on everything from Monday's TFW. Of course, every Sunday night in the community tab on YouTube is where you can leave your opinions on the rest of the footballing weekend's stuff. The footballing weekend's action, everything. Whilst you're down there, smash the like button, give us a little subscribe as well, and check out all of the other videos we've got going on Onefootball around here somewhere. That's all from me That's all from me though, and until next time, see you guys later.